Hello, and thank you for joining us for the 45th episode of That Show with Billy Wilson. The show brings together artists, musicians, personalities, and photographers from around the world each Friday for a hangout. Tonight, we are joined by our special musical guest, Brent Michelle, who will be playing a few songs for us for the last 16 minutes of the hour. And we also have tech executive and photographer Doug Kay, who will be showing us some photos. He recently came back from Cuba. And we also have photographer Evelyn S. Lamprey. And we also have software developer for Lexmark and Perspective Software.
Perceptive Software. It's a company Lexmark owns.
Yeah, and you're also avid in Linux and open source and Android too, right?
Yes.
Yes. And you also do a lot of YouTube videos too that I was seeing. Quite a few reviews and stuff on that. And the co-host, Tibby. It's never a show without Tibby, but right now he just ran away. Like, he was in here circling me 50 times. Now he just ran right away. I have no idea why. But anyway, we're going to start out with Doug, and he's going to show us some of his Cuba photos, because that's one of the big things he's been doing lately. He was over in Cuba. I remember I asked him months ago to be a part of the show, and he said that he was going to be going down over to Cuba. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. I spent a week in Cuba. Just got back actually a few days ago. Actually went to Miami for a day first to shoot South Beach one night, and then one day in South Beach with a friend of mine. And then went to Cuba, spent almost the entire time in Old Havana. Rather than go around the whole country, we decided to go deep and go back to the same neighborhoods over and over again to sort of get to know the people and get to know everybody there. And I just got a couple here that we can go through. Let's see if this works. You seeing everything okay?
Yep. Havana has lots of nice old architecture from what I've heard of and seen.
It's amazing. I mean, you can tell it was absolutely a remarkable city before 1959. And in the last 54 years, there's essentially been no maintenance done to the city, almost none whatsoever. So it's rather amazing. Just some of the various shots that we took as we went around. People were very friendly. We met a lot of people and interacted with them. And I have no Spanish skills, but luckily we worked with some Cuban photographers. We had some terrific Cuban photographers who are actually world-class photographers that showed us around and helped us talk to people and so forth. This was a shot in one of the new markets that allow people to actually sell, instead of selling through the government, they can actually sell their own goods there, which is a brand new development in Cuba. A lot of things are changing quickly. People can, for the first time, sell their homes. They've never actually owned them in the past. The government's owned all the homes, so now they can start to sell them. The Malecon is a famous place. It's about 7 miles long, right along that northern edge of Havana. Just this big, long concrete wall. Very cool. You probably can't see that the writing on the wall says administration, and I don't think anyone's ever been in and out of that door for many, many years. Went to a local club. In the background, that's Benny Murray, who's one of the most famous Cuban salsa singers from the early 50s. Most of Havana is actually monochrome. It's sort of a black and white city, but every once in a while you come across something that's very, very colorful.
That is beautiful.
Thank you. And like a lot of cities, in urban environments, people are just hanging out all the time. They're on their balconies, they're in front of their homes, they're just hanging out all the time. This was again at the market. I managed to sneak this one in and then showed it to them, and they appreciated that. They thought it was a good shot. Oh, and we did get to the Tropicana one night. I had to throw that in there. Tropicana is very touristy. It's really not for Cubans, it's really for tourists. That's one of the performers who came out into the audience afterwards. That's my cheeseburger girl. They're just selling food out of the storefronts. So you can't ride motorcycles, you can't ride bicycles, but it's okay to leave your boat in the middle of the street. So that's it. Went to a gallery where a lot of people were doing lithographs, creating lithographs. This was a guy who was carving his etchings in flat sheets of PVC plastic, and then they would print from there. Just some interesting abstract stuff. One of the churches we went into. Outside the church, a big palm. There are not just a few of these old American cars, there are thousands of them, and they are taxis. And you've probably seen many, many pictures of the taxis in Havana. And my goal was to try and get an unusual shot of them because, it's pretty easy just to get a picture of a taxi coming around a corner. We did a lot of that. Just hanging out. I don't know if you can read the bottom of that. Just says,
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Mm-hmm. It's all clear.
Here's an example of a building just held up by timber. Sometimes these buildings were actually braced from one building to another just to keep them from crumbling. And we're back to the beginning. That's my Cuba show.
Wow. This is lovely.
Awesome.
That's very nice.
It's quite the city to look at. It's quite interesting how it has so much beautiful old architecture, but it's kind of in a, kind of a debilitated condition.
Yeah. I mean, the government has a number of buildings marked as to be restored, but it's clear there's never going to be enough money to restore them. I mean, there's just too many of them. So that a lot of that city at some point is just going to be bulldozed. It's very sad. Very sad.
Yes.
But, so get there if you can.
The car culture there is really fascinating to me.
Yeah, you mean the old cars?
Yeah, I think Cuba's quite known for its older cars.
Yeah. Well, what happened, of course, is in 1959 when the revolution occurred, and then the U.S. embargoed the country, they've not been able to get any parts. So these old American cars, a lot of them have Toyota motors or Russian motors dropped into them. Some of them are in great shape, but most of them are, sort of barely running, but they're a lot of fun.
By the way, Doug, I'd seen a couple of those images on your profile before. Did you mention they were taken with a Micro Four Thirds camera?
They were not, actually. I got a Micro Four Thirds. I'm doing a review of the Olympus OMD EM5, so I got a review camera here. Mm-hmm. But those were all either with a Nikon D600 or a Sony NEX7. Those are the two cameras I took with me.
Okay.
So what do you think of those cameras so far?
Well, Nikon's about my fifth or sixth Nikon body, and I like it a lot. I think the 600 is a great camera. And in fact, Scott Loftusness, who was with me, not only did he buy a D600, but he's in the process of switching from Canon to Nikon for reasons I can't imagine. But it's great. And the NEX7 is also marvelous. I mean, it's just, I took the Sony out probably 20% of the time, but I would say 40% of my, or maybe 35% of my good shots are from the Sony. So that says a lot. Nice little camera.
Mm-hmm. And Jordan, you also had some photos you wanted to show from your adventures lately.
Yeah, I can share some photos too. I'm on the west coast of Canada again, where I'm from originally. And in the last couple of days, it's been really cool because I've ended up hooking up and meeting with a number of Google Plus, other photographers from Google Plus, because Cameron Seguenza was in town on a road trip, came up north, and so I contacted a couple other photographers in the area, and we went out and about, or oot and about, if you want a odd accent. Hopefully this all works all right. You can see the picture here?
Yep.
All right, so this was taken in Sechelt, where I'm from originally, and there's a heron on the right-hand side just landing. So that's where I started from. I had to go ride a ferry over to meet everyone else. So I down the coast to the ferry terminal. And then we got in the car, picked up, this is Kate, and I can drop the links to all the different people later who were on the trip with me. But Cameron was driving, so going up the Sea to Sky Highway, this was really reconstructed. Huge money put into the infrastructure for it for the Olympics in Whistler, between Vancouver and Whistler. So that's where we're driving along Howe Sound. And in the back of that picture, you can see that little peak. That's the tip of Anvil Island. And that'll be appearing in a number of the photos. And a lot of it was, it's very windy, this road. It used to be really quite dangerous, but with the divided highway going all the way, it's a little safer now. And when we got there, we went to Porto Cove, was one of the places that I'd picked for us to go because it allows, well, if the sun had come through, being in a rainforest means you're also going to have a lot of fog and mystery, especially this time of year. So there was no sun coming through. But we did get there and discover a busload of guys getting ready to jump off of the thing, which they're not supposed to. The park facility operator showed up and told them not to do it again. And this is, I guess, one of the examples I do with a lot of the things with the photography I do and when I'm out there is just learning as I go and practicing and trying stuff. And so here with the light, it was quite dark out. And as you can see here, my shutter speed was not fast enough to freeze the people in the air. So you get them blurry.
It's actually a more interesting picture that way. I like it.
And
I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The next one got a little bit faster, and I like this one because you have the guys swimming in the water and the sort of row of three people falling. And if Kate Havercroft, she took a picture that she was over on the wharf, and he has a picture of I believe it's these three falling, and they line up from her camera in a row almost. And I love going on photo walks with different people because you get to take these pictures and then you can see that same moment from several different angles, which is something that if you're a photographer on your own, you don't ever see. And this just gives you the sort of the scale on how gray it was across the Sound. This is one of the southernmost fjords in Canada, Howe Sound. So there's Kate and a little fogged up glasses after seeing all these men jumping around it. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying that. Anyways, this is Sinead McKeown and Cameron Seguenza on the lookout, looking up the inlet towards or out the Sound. Past that is the Salish Sea, which is in between Vancouver and Vancouver Island and the Puget Sound down towards Washington State. This was an old ferry terminal at one point that would take people from the mainland across the Sound to a pulp mill. It's all connected. It's all part of the continent, but the walls of the Sound are so steep that there's no road on the other side. And I was just trying different longer exposure to kind of get rid of the waves. You got the light trails coming through along the front of the mountain there. And that's the highway right at the above the water level. So it was a good day. It was wet. Kate improvised a rain shield using a garbage bag. I think we consider that to be the most crafty use of garbage bag for the day. And I'll just go through these ones a little quicker, but you're still able to see them briefly?
Yes. We see them.
Okay. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay. These cabins on the left were built for the Olympics, so they really did a lot of infrastructure that has been residual. It's hung around and other people can go. And afterwards, we went to a pub in Squamish, a Howe Sound Brew Pub, which was very tasty and enjoyed by all as we warmed up after that damp day. The next morning, I got up at around 6:30, and Sinead picked me up, and we drove up Cypress Mountain to this view over Vancouver. And there in the front, you see the Lionsgate Bridge. Stanley Park's off to the right behind the trees, and this is looking down over Vancouver. Right in the center, the row of lights, that's the convention center. And I think you'll often see a lot of pictures of Vancouver from this place because it's pretty easy to. You just have to drive up to it and go and pull over. There's a big parking lot. Vancouver being a port city, there's always a lot of tankers in the harbor. And one of the interesting things, the neat thing, is you can tell if the tide's coming in or out based on which way the tankers are pointing, because when the tide is moving, they swing around. The anchor stays in place, and the boats swing around that. So depending on which way the tankers are facing, you know the tide's coming in or out. I think a lot of people don't know that. So many people have moved to the West Coast since who don't have a nautical background. And then I just, as the sunlight comes, pardon?
Over where I live, although we aren't on a coast, on the Great Lakes, we have so many, like we have a lot of big ships and stuff, so we're used to like having a lot of giant shipping, but no tidal effects. Just kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting when you add the tide to the mix because it's just another current, another factor. The water doesn't always run the same way. Especially in the Georgia Strait here, it'll come back and forth. And I like this picture because it's a tanker turning around and pulling out, and usually I'm just used to seeing them sit there. So everywhere I go, there's always that idea that it is still a unique moment in time.
How big are those?
Big. I don't know. I'd have to find out. I don't really know, but they're quite large.
Like the size of like big, giant downtown Vancouver buildings?
I could try to find a better picture to show you, or ask on Quora or something. I don't know. I'm not a numbers guy.
Okay. Maybe somebody watching will like type, oh, it's exactly this many feet long.
Absolutely. If anyone watching knows anything about the shipping industry. But one of the things with sunrises and sunsets is that it changes so quickly. So to be set up to be there and really just to hang out, spend time, and watch as the lighting evolves and changes. Then after that, we went to the Lynn Canyon Suspension Bridge, which there's the big suspension bridge farther down that you have to pay to go to, but this one's just part of a park, so you can go there for free. So that's where I like to go. And for those who had a lot of snow today, the rainforest is still very green here, so that's nice, but I'm not gloating. Because it's very wet. It rains a lot, and you get giant trees.
The funny thing, right where I am, for some reason it went up to plus 10 Celsius today. Like yesterday it was minus 10, and now today it's plus 10.
Yeah, I find a lot of that fascinating, weather and the geography and geology and the plants. Just our natural world is incredible, and this is for scale. I was trying to put myself in some of the shots and some longer exposure things. In this one, I'm actually wearing a Ninja Clava, and I'm in between that large stump and everyone else, but I'm kind of blurred out. Just doing sneaky fun things. And a lot of experimenting, just trying different things in the forest with longer exposure and motion. Using the zooming in and out as I'm taking the photo.
It's cool. Also, an interesting thing done with long exposure in trees is if you have the camera on a tripod and you're able to like flip it from horizontal to vertical or the other way around, and while you're doing that, it makes like perfect, like nice clean circles as trails, which is kind of cool.
Nice. I just got a tripod or a ball head that will allow me to do that, so I should try that.
Oh, is that salmon?
This is a dead salmon. So this was from this morning with Cameron, and we were out at Karen Nelson's in Chilliwack. And so we went out for a trip, and this is a dead salmon.
Yeah, we have a lot of those around here. They all die here too because they're planted in the Great Lakes.
Okay. I didn't know that. So are they Atlantic salmon or Pacific salmon?
Right in the city that I live in, there's a few Atlantics, but primarily the ones that we see that, of course, die are Chinook, coho, and pink salmon.
Okay.
All those guys. And they all die. The Chinooks are giant. They call them king salmon. They're like massive fish. They're like 40 pounds.
One of the things that I really enjoy when going with photo walks with other photographers is when they can lend you stuff that you don't have yourself. So Karen had a 10-stop filter, ND filter, that she help put on my camera so that I could try shots like this. So this was a 30-second exposure in the daytime, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun playing around with stuff that I just don't have. And I think we're nearing the end. We went off into the forest a little bit more. We tried driving up to Chilliwack Lake, but it was snowed in. So this was us just driving away back into town. Oh, and that's my mom rescued a bird. It flew into the window, so she was feeding it sugar water and nurturing it back to sunned goodness.
A few months ago, I got a picture of a sparrow that for some reason got inside of my house. Like I just like I closed the door behind me. I enter the house, and all of a sudden I look on the ground right in front of me, and right on the steps is a sparrow in my house. I have no idea how a bird got in my house. He's just sitting there looking at me. So I had to pick him up and throw him outside.
What's I've had to rescue hummingbirds from inside buildings before. That's tricky because they fly around real fast, but they get a little tired, and just approach them with a tea towel and try to carefully cover them and get them out. And so far, it's worked usually. Don't mind me.
And Evelyn, I believe you also had some photos. Like it's just like a constant like photo thing tonight.
We're traveling the world through photography.
Yeah. And I think you also wanted to talk about balancing between being commercial photography and like personal photography. And there we go. Yeah, we see the screen share.
Come on.
We see some, but we don't. Well, we see the edge of a photo.
Let's see.
Like,
Hold on.
We see like a blanket and some bowls. And
stuff. This is work that I do basically every day. I shoot textile and fiber, like yarns, fabrics, quilts for catalogs, and so it's pretty high volume work, and a lot of deadlines and stuff like that. So it's really important to do personal stuff in addition to that. And the work that I do personally is is quite a bit different. Go. I like black and white a lot, and this is in Louisiana. I spent a couple weeks down there in October in Louisiana and Memphis. I went to Graceland, which was really fascinating, and spent some time down there shooting with Dawn Carl, who lives in New Orleans, and she's a lot of fun, and she's just starting out in photography, and she's getting really good, and she really is very passionate about it. And it was fun to go around the city with her and photograph the gardens and things like that. The things that I don't get to shoot every day because I'm always looking at balls of yarn and quilts. So let's see. I also like car photography a lot. Yeah, that looks familiar, Doug.
It does. It sure does.
I like to go to vintage car shows, and I love the look and style and the types of people that hang out at car shows, and it's really interesting to me. And this was in Sandwich. It was a really small show, but there were just great cars and really nice people. It was really fun. But I think Sandwich, New Hampshire, yeah.
Oh.
Oh, and I have this. This is for you, Billy.
Oh, cats. Yeah, I still haven't shown Tibby yet tonight. You know, Tibby should be around here.
If he's a little under the weather.
Tibby ill.
But I think it's really important to continually do your own work so you don't get burnt out if you're doing when your hobby is your profession. I think it's easy to turn it into a grind.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if any of you experience that, but I think in order to keep things fresh, you have to do work that's completely different from what you're shooting day to day.
I would think that because your professional work is so specific that it's not too hard for you actually to get away from it, because almost anything is different, right?
I found a couple times that it was really hard for me to even look at the camera. At the end of the day or on the weekend, the last thing I want to do is pick up a camera and shoot when I've spent the week photographing literally 1,000 balls of yarn or 100 quilts that just came back from a trade show. It's and under a lot of pressure. So, right. but if you don't pick up the camera on your own, I think you don't bring anything new to the commercial work, which has to be fresh all the time. Still, it's not just about shooting balls of yarn. It's about creating beautiful catalog covers and things like that. And the bar is always raised. You come out with a great cover, and they want to do something new and different, and you constantly have to think about that. And I find that a lot of what I'm doing on the weekends kind of carries over into the work that I'm doing for paying clients. Let's see.
I wonder if it helps to have two totally different kinds of cameras.
Well, I work with Canons, my own cameras. I have a 5D and a T2i.
That's it. You need a Nikon to go out for your personal.
Well, I do. The catalogs that I work for have a Nikon that I use exclusively for them.
All right.
And
so much for my theory.
Yeah. So it's not really about the camera. I think it's about the subject and the atmosphere and what you want to communicate. And maybe
that's maybe why you like to do black and white too.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think that but like last year I photographed a lot of horses like Zeus here, and who's the biggest horse in the world. He lives in Moultonborough, New Hampshire. He's 3,000 pounds, and he's really neat. But some of that carried over into my commercial work because the merchandising team saw what I was doing, and they thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool to do a quilt with a horse? So I arranged with the stables to do one, and it was so much fun, and it came out really beautifully, and it's done very well for them. So that worked out great. But yeah, it is easy to get burnt out.
Heard that.
I know, it's like, I don't think I've taken pictures in a Hangout before.
Maybe you can display that in your next Hangout.
That's right. Everyone, this is an easy way to do portraits.
A picture of a picture in a Hangout from a Hangout.
That's right. There's a whole new group for that.
Mm-hmm.
Start a community. Horrible.
So I do, even though everyone laughs about cat photography, there's Tibby. I
Oh
think,
my. Yes.
I don't know, I just like photographing the cat. I know it's a big joke, but I like, maybe that's part of the reason why I like doing it.
Well, they have a lot of personality. Like to take a picture of something that a lot of people take pictures of, and then to do it in a way that is unique, that is interesting. Everyone likes most everyone likes pictures they take of their own kid. So to take pictures of other kids that look good, that's a different challenge. And so I think this is a great picture. It happens to have a cat in it as well, and the cat's the subject of it. But it's a great picture, regardless of that the subject's a cat. Right?
This hangout has a cat.
Billy has an accordion cat.
He is kind of like an accordion.
Don't get a lower back hernia.
But look at how he can stretch right out.
I still think you should train him to just ride around your neck like a warmer.
He'd be a little bit of a heavy warmer.
This is true.
So this was a long exposure image that I did. Well, I guess a couple years now. It was at 7 o'clock in the morning. It was no, maybe it was even earlier, and it was about, I think it was about 10 seconds. It was a truck going by really early in the morning, and it's one of my favorites. And it was in a show that I did in September, and I don't know. I like for personal work. I like really quiet photographs. I usually don't photograph people, but I like cars and lonely places.
Mm.
But that's the last one I have.
Well, thank you.
I was writing something down, and Tibby's distracting me. That's always every single excuse I have. Oh, it was old Tibby.
That's right. Blame it on the cat.
That's right.
Cats get all the blame.
Tibby. And that's why I'm looking down, because I always got to give him attention. Because now that I brought him over here, now he's like, okay, now you have to worship me. You brought me here.
So if you start saying "ow," is he like clawing at your leg?
Not yet, but I'll probably be there in a few moments. So the other Jordan that doesn't take photos. You also do a lot of videos that I saw. I called you the other Jordan. Yeah. But yeah, I was watching some of them there. You do like reviews and stuff, so you can like plug that or talk about that if you want to.
Yeah. Generally 2 days a week, I make videos for a website called xdadevelopers.com. It's one of the largest smartphone hacking websites in the world. It's got about 4.8 million users now. And if you have an iPhone or a device that's not an iPhone or an iPad, Android device, Windows Phone, things like that, somebody at the site has probably hacked it at some point. And so I do 2 weekly news recaps from the site, just things that have happened over the course of the week. For my own personal channels, I talk again about Android devices that I've been sent to review, things that are happening in the Linux world, because I've spent a lot of time in the last 10 years or so just working with Linux and getting to know people in the community. And actually one of the biggest videos I've put up recently was when I was at CES. I got to meet Mark Shuttleworth, the creator of Canonical, and he demonstrated the Ubuntu Phone OS on the Galaxy Nexus for me, and that video has done surprisingly well, about 900,000 views at this point. So
wow,
surprising.
Yeah,
considering my normal video view count is much lower than that. It was all Shuttleworth on that one. And I photos on Google Plus if anybody wants to look at them, but they're a couple of years old. I went to Georgia for work a couple of years ago, to across the ocean, Georgia, and there were a lot of beautiful things there to see. If you haven't seen Georgia yet, there's a.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just saying because I've read about it a bit and been looking at some pictures of that, and it is a nice looking country.
Well, I've got a large gallery on my profile you can take a look at that's just full of photos. Unfortunately, Google Plus stores them on there completely out of order, so it's hard to page through them, and I'm not using my normal machine. But a lot of really nice things on there.
I'll definitely be taking a look at that.
Yeah.
There's some interesting architecture in its capital city, and there's a lot of beautiful landscapes from what I've seen.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is true.
And actually, following up on something Evelyn said earlier about separating your personal life from your professional life, like I said, I'm not really a photographer, but I am a software developer in my day job. And I've found that there are a load of software development projects I want to do on the side. Android apps I'd want to build, websites I'd like to start, things like that. And because day to day I'm doing web development and doing programming Java development at work, I find a lot of times it's, I'm just not going to bother with it after hours. And it's impressive to see that you're able to take your work that you're passionate about and do it on the side as a hobby and still have fun doing it.
Well, I think it's because they're so drastically different.
Exactly.
Is the work that you're doing are they that much different, or is it kind of more the same?
It sort of depends. It would be different languages, different architectures, different end results. For the stuff I do for my day job, I hate to say it, but it's kind of mundane, back-end, make the server work kind of stuff. And for the other side, it would be developing a website, developing a new application to run on a smartphone, or
so that would be more creative.
Exactly. It'd be just another outlet. But instead, I find myself doing the YouTube videos instead. It's completely a different direction. It's something completely creative that I can do, and I guess it's sort of more fulfilling than programming for me on the side. So it's about finding something you have a passion
money,
for.
Though. You gotta
a little bit helps, yeah.
The yarn.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Just checking the comments right now to see what the heck people are saying. What's bigger, plus Tibby or wait? I just lost the question. What's bigger, plus Tibby or the beard Jordan Oram shaved?
And the answer to that would be that by mass, Tibby would be bigger because there's just a lot more bulk there. But by gross shape, I think probably the beard that is gone. No, Tibby's bigger. Tibby's definitely bigger.
By sheer level of hair.
Yeah, actually, yeah, maybe amount of length of hair. If we stretched all the hairs together, the beard may have been longer. Maybe. That actually would have been an interesting one to look at. I mean,
not sure how long your beard was before. There's a guy in the Linux group that I run, and he showed up to the meeting the other day. Has a beard down to his almost to his belt.
Yeah, mine wasn't that long.
I think he's 2 years older than I am.
2 or 3 inches below my chin.
Yeah.
Maybe about 3 inches. Yeah. It was a 11-month beard.
Yeah. I think the traditional neck beard is sort of a staple of the career that I'm in.
Yeah, well,
Linux and development.
Pizza crumbs, right? After the all-night.
Exactly. You've got to have them for later, sustenance.
That's right, exactly.
Right.
And it sounds like a stereotyped cliche, but it's actually true.
No more neckbeard discussions. Not good. Not good.
Moving on. The neckbeards have been verboten. There will be no more mention of neckbeards. But by the fact you brought up that, we've talked about neckbeards now at least 5 or 6 or 7 neckbeardy times.
That's right.
Moving on. Now we'll not talk about neckbeards anymore.
We can talk about Tibby.
Does Tibby have a neckbeard?
Oh God, I don't know how to pick him up from this position without him keep ripping my hand off. No, he says no. You will not pick me up.
But it's going to get really awkward, and you're going to fall back, hit your new backdrop. It's going to fall down. There will be
there's a fire.
Yeah, there'll be a fire. It's gonna. I mean, because if your shows, if you're going down, go down in flames and a cat yowling.
Oh my God. A cat ripping my face off in fire.
Has there ever been a Google Hangout that's gone viral?
Yeah, there's a betting pool on that, and I've got $20 on that being the end of the show. So.
Oh yeah, the final show, the final one of the series is Billy burns to death in his background while Tibby screams. Oh my God.
So Billy, what have you done? Have you surrounded yourself with a big paper bag?
No, it's actually a backdrop. I have a couple backdrops, and this one I just haven't unraveled in years. So it's actually like a professional
Are you going to draw the queen on it later, or we're missing?
I think I'm gonna iron is what I'm gonna do next. Because it's
Can you
wrinkly.
iron the queen into it? An iron-on queen decal?
I might do something like I've been like doing so much like stuff with the computer. I got a new computer this week, then realized that I didn't want it, and I want to switch to a desktop. So I had to rearrange my whole like work area for a desktop because I'm used to using a laptop. And I thought to myself, maybe I need to do something about background, you know. And I just am not like completely done the background. Like I haven't figured it out yet. So it's kind
You
of
should
like
get some paint and get paint and put your handprints on there, and then Tibby can put paw prints on there, and then you can like put it on your face and push it up against there. You can grab Tibby and dip Tibby in the paint and put Tibby up on there. You know, it'd be like a community effort between you and Tibby.
or maybe I could get a projector and like project images on there instead.
You could. You should project a screen.
Shadow
with a
puppets.
head.
Shadow puppets. You know what's really cool? Like if I turn off the big light here and then I take a little tiny light, it makes great shadow puppets. I was doing that earlier.
You could have a show. You could have another show, Shadow Puppetry, with Billy Wilson, and bring on different puppeteers, and you know,
And Tibby.
get Tibby to walk back and forth behind. Just have a light there, and get Tibby to
That should be a whole edition of the show. Like we just all talk with like hands behind screens and everything.
And you could have a musical guest play. You could have the hand puppetry, like just like before they had talkies.
That would be awesome.
The films
Like you
were-
could see them playing their musical instrument as just a silhouette. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, there you go. Radicalized the whole thing. No one knows what's going on over here now. We shouldn't use toques for shadow puppetry. It doesn't work.
I don't know what's going on.
I was building a
did you-
screen to do shadow puppetry. It wasn't working.
Oh, yeah. You need a brighter light and something more translucent.
You think so? I got a little
I
bit
think
of.
so.
There's a little bit right there. Look, I'm
Oh, yeah.
I'm closing my eye, my shadow puppet eye.
Oh boy, we see that so well.
I can do this for hours. So how are you guys? Wink.
I think it's about time we get to our musical guest, Brent Michelle.
Hooray!
Yay!
Yeah.
Music.
So just remember to put it in studio mode.
I did, actually.
Oh, good.
Oh. We will mute ourselves.
Alright, let's hope you guys can hear me.
I think we can.
The world spins before my eyes. One wrong turn, I'm left behind. And so I hide under my skin, so I can't start all over again. And round we go to places we don't know, so we can redefine the thoughts that roam our mind. And round we go to places we don't know, so we can redefine the thoughts that roam our mind. Teach me one thing. How do I get back on? And then I'll use my wings and fly until I'm found. And round we go to places we don't know, so we can redefine the thoughts that roam our mind. And round we go to places we don't know, so we can redefine the thoughts that roam our mind.
Yay!
Thank you.
Bravissimo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know where my voice went. It's like 50 something degrees in California and I'm dying freezing.
That sounded really, really good, so
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Song's called Dream. This is the one Billy posted. You don't have to wake up in the morning. Embrace me in your arms at 8 a.m. You don't have to wait till I fall asleep. 'Cause after all, it's just a dream. Yes, after all, it's just a dream. 'Cause I measure the time I've got with every minute of every song I hear. In the hope that any day I'll find you somewhere near. Yeah, I'm waiting for you to appear. And sometimes I drive around aimlessly, or sit at a bar watching people meet. And I must admit, it gets so lonely, but I stay strong on both of my feet. Yeah, I stay strong on both of my feet. 'Cause I measure the time I've got with every minute of every song I hear. In the hope that any day I'll find you somewhere near. Yeah, I'm waiting for you to appear. So don't wake me from my dream, no. Just come now, come to me. Come now, come to me. 'Cause I measure the time I've got with every minute of every song I hear. In the hope that any day I'll find you somewhere near. Yeah, I'm waiting for you to appear. Now you don't have to wake up in the morning. Embrace me in your arms at 8 a.m. And no, you don't have to wait till I fall asleep. 'Cause after all, yes, after all, it's just a dream.
That was marvelous.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very nice.
That was just beautiful. I'm
Thank
in my
you.
happy place now.
A great ending to the
See,
whole program. It's really wonderful.
Billy, I think she makes up for the rest of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I totally enjoyed everybody's photography. It was so cool.
Yeah, but hopefully the show will be remembered for the music. That was great.
Together it's a smorgasbord of awesomeness. We should like just we take a
It's why
picture.
I always have musical guests at the end, because it always makes everyone happy.
Yeah, leave on a high note. Absolutely.
Yeah, always leave it on a high note. We still have time for another song.
Okay, cool. I'll do a song called "City of the Lost," which I wrote a few years ago. For me, it was about LA, because this is where I am. But I think it could be applied to anywhere. The sky is gray. It's coming from LA. The building shines so bright from all of their advertising lights. But where do I stand? What is my plan? Where is there room for me in this big city? I'm in the city of the lost, and I've never felt so safe. I'm in the city of the lost, and I've never felt so safe. And there's room, yes, there's room for me. They made a scrapbook of my life. Oh, appropriate line for photographers. Waiting for the pictures to be placed. 'Cause my future fills her memories. But they never asked me if they were mine or if that was final. But what is my plan? Pictureless I stand. Oh, is there no room for me in this big city? I'm in the city of the lost, and I never felt so safe. I'm in the city of the lost, and I never felt so safe. And there's room, yes, there's room. Oh, there's room for me. Room for me. Mm, 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 mm,
Yay.
Nicely done.
Thank you guys so much.
Very nice.
Bravo. This is a great way to end the show.
Mhm.
Yep.
Heartwarming.
On a big, contented.
All right, let's not mess it up.
But we need Tibby because he's right here. Don't hit that, Tibby. There we go. Oh, there we go. Hopefully, I can get him up without destroying something. That's the. Oh wait, I'm still screen locked on. Brent. They're still looking at her. I'm trying to hold Tibby, and they're like, "Wait, I don't see any damn cat. That guy's a liar." This is Tibby, and he did just vomit earlier. Earlier when we started the show. I heard
up there
him
with
vomiting
neckbeard.
outside of my room, and now I'm gonna have to go out there and find out where in the dark he vomited and clean it up.
Just use a light. Don't go by feel.
Yeah, I will use the light. I better put him down before he vomits again or something. I don't know. He has a very sensitive stomach. I don't know why. And we went from ending the show on music
To another song.
The cat vomited.
Look, I found a ginger cat earlier. There you go. And fade to black.
Sorry.
And Tibby is actually going to be appearing. Oh yeah, I just boxed you, Jordan. Tibby's actually going to be appearing tomorrow on a new pet show that's going to be broadcast by Monica. He's going to be, I think, starring or co-hosting or something. We'll see tomorrow at 4 p.m. on Saturday, Eastern time. That is, it's 4 p.m. Eastern time. Tibby will be doing something. And I'd like to thank every one of you guys for joining me tonight, and I'd like to thank all the viewers for watching, and we'll be back next week with some more great guests. I think, yeah, we have a lot of food guests on next week, so it's going to be a fun food-oriented episode, so we'll see you next time.
Farewell.